The Nintendo Switch 2, if rumours are to be believed, is right around the corner. But what are the top 10 games coming out on this new console? What have they got planned? This is what we're going to be discussing, I say.
Most certainly, very exciting, perhaps news has been rumoured, as GameChap just said, that the Switch 2 could be around the corner, as we say, and of course this would be very exciting for fans. But the games, what could we possibly see if such a console was going to be coming along?
I think it is going to be coming along very soon. After all, the Nintendo Switch came out in 2017. It's been 6 years, and if you go back in history and look at the Nintendo console launch cycles, you know, how many years were between each console, we're due for another one right about now. So let's firstly talk about the most obvious game of all that we expect to see on the new Switch, a new Mario game.
Well, that's exactly true, yes. See, so in the past, when we see new consoles, we almost always see a new Mario game.
Of course.
So what sort of game are we looking for? I mean, you know, like the open world ones, like 64 and etc. so forth, on Galaxy, or perhaps, you know, the side-scrollers.
Well, exactly, a very good question. Of course, we have got Super Mario Bros. Wonder coming out later this year, so that's quite soon, and undoubtedly Wonder will come out before the Switch 2, at least we expect that at the moment. Now, what Nintendo could do is they could say, right, let's release new Super Mario Bros. Wonder, or Super Mario Bros. Wonder Deluxe, and this kind of thing for the Switch 2, a sort of upgraded version, if you will. Or they could say, no, we're not even going to bother with that, here's Wonder again, but just the same game, but just on the Switch 2.
Most certainly, yes, and of course, another thing to consider here, of course, is the power of the console. Some have been saying that such a console, if it were to be true, would be a lot more powerful.
Indeed, it could be much stronger graphically, but of course, would that necessarily mean that the Switch games that they would presumably port to the new console would have graphical enhancements, remasters, or would it just be the same game?
Certainly, yes, and just coming back to the graphical power there, I'm just thinking of Tears of the Kingdom, Link.
Yes.
Perhaps games like that on a new console with more power could be rather more interesting.
Well, I don't know, because they'd have to remake parts of the game, wouldn't they, to increase the graphical fidelity for the new console, so who knows, old chap?
Oh yes, I know, I mean if I bought a new one out, you know, completely different.
Oh, a completely new one,
yeah, like it, not the game, you just like it, yeah.
Very true, but just before we get onto that, of course, what they could also do with Mario is say, no, we're not going to do Wonder on the Switch 2 at all, we're going to make a completely new 3D open-world Mario game, like Bertie said earlier, so who knows? It's rather exciting times, though. Now, of course, they could also do with Zelda, speaking of Zelda, a re-release of Tears of the Kingdom for Switch 2, like they did with Twilight Princess. If you recall, that of course was multi-platform, the Game Boy, I beg your pardon, the GameCube, and the Nintendo Wii. So they could of course say, right, we're going to have a sort of re-release of sorts here for Switch 2 of Tears of the Kingdom.
Well, I suppose so, yes. Whether they'd risk actually, launching a console with that rather than Mario, I'm not sure.
It's a very good point, indeed. Of course, I think Nintendo do prefer to launch consoles with Mario games whenever possible, but then, of course, the Nintendo Switch came out with Breath of the Wild, so who knows? But I think one thing's for sure, we can look forward to seeing a Mario and a Zelda game on Switch 2. And the next most obvious one, I mean, this is like the sun coming up tomorrow, of course, Super Smash Bros. Has to make an appearance on Switch 2, doesn't it?
Well, Super Smash Bros., they've done so much with it on the current Switch, so many new characters, so many DLCs and everything. It seems to be such a big game. Could they do such a thing on a new console?
The question is, of course, how are they going to top Ultimate? It's got so many characters, so much content, so much DLC, as you say there. What's the next one going to be called? Super Smash Bros. The best. They've already used Ultimate. It's going to be Super Smash Bros. Everything. I don't know.
Well, yes, I mean, maybe the graphics will be better. I don't know.
Better graphics, more characters? Well, I don't see how they're going to do more characters. That'd be a lot of work. But one thing's for sure, Nintendo are going to have to do a new Smash Bros. It's just too big and popular to ignore.
Yes, of course, and there's the other possibility, of course, and that is a new Mario Kart game.
A new Mario Kart, of course. I mean, we've been running Mario Kart 8 now for how many years? The game came out on the Wii U originally. It's still kicking around. It really is past time that we had Mario Kart 9, or whatever they're going to call it. Of course, they've been, as I say, just recycling and rehashing that game. The temptation will be strong for Nintendo to say, here's Mario Kart 8 Ultra Deluxe for Nintendo Switch 2. I really hope they don't do that. That'll be a very big disappointment. I'm sure they're going to have to do 9 at some point, so why not on the Switch 2?
Well, most certainly. We're saying Switch 2, but, whether it'll be called that, we don't know. It could just be could be a new console. But, of course, with Mario Kart, again, they've done so much with the current game,
yes,
could they indeed even improve on that on the new console? That's the thing.
Well, never doubt Nintendo, old chap. They certainly could, I think. Then, of course, we have to come to a game that's been in development, or at least been talked about for a very long time, for years and years, in fact, Metroid Prime 4. Now, of course, on the current Nintendo Switch, it's very, very obvious with the potential life cycle of the Switch ending or coming to an end very soon, it seems unlikely that Metroid Prime 4 will make a release before that happens. So, if you ask me, if the Switch 2 really does give you the option to make more graphically intense games, we could well see Prime 4 with a fresh coat of paint on Switch 2 looking very impressive.
Most certainly, yes, we could indeed. Of course, we haven't seen that one come out yet on the current Switch, but that would be certainly something which I think would be exciting for a lot of the fans.
For me too. I can't wait for the next Metroid Prime game. The last one was 2007, for goodness sake. It's been 16 years, my word. Then, of course, another outlying title, FZero. I mean, fans have been clamoring for a new FZero game for 19 years, since I think it was Climax or something like that. And the designer of GX, or I think it was GX, recently expressed an interest in making a new FZero game. But of course, with that series, the question is, how do they do it without stealing content from Mario Kart? Because of course, Mario Kart right now is their premier racing game. So I think they're very, very concerned about not taking market share from Mario Kart. And also, how would they innovate with FZero? I mean, it's cargo fast. That's the game. I mean, so how do you sort of bring a fresh coat of paint and new ideas to that table?
But that's true, and since they haven't done it in all those years, it does, raise the question of whether they do it on the new console.
Indeed, so that one I think is a bit less likely, but it's certainly on the table as an option. And then we come to one that's a bit more certain, and that is a Super Princess Peach game. Now, how do I know that? Of course, they released a teaser trailer for what we can only presume is Super Princess Peach 2 rather recently. So will that make the cut for the current Switch, or will it be on Switch 2?
Well, we don't know. Of course, those who saw the Mario movie, of course, will see Princess Peach was featuring quite highly there,
yes,
perhaps in a different way, so it's very possible perhaps they could try and do that on a new console.
I think they're going to make more and more Peach content in the near future. I'd love to see a Daisy game personally, but I don't think that's going to happen in the next 100 years. But certainly Princess Peach is an option, yes. And of course, another character there, Mario's brother with his very own series, Luigi's Mansion. We also saw a teaser for a remake of Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon quite recently. Again, I do expect to see the brother in green on the big screen for Switch 2.
Most certainly could happen. Again, they've done an awful lot with that game on many different consoles. So how they could improve on that, we don't know. On a new console, could be Switch 2 if that's what it's called. But of course, as you said earlier, this is Nintendo, and of course they can do rather interesting things when they want to.
They've always got some new ideas, haven't they? So I mean, Luigi's been visiting, mansions for a while now. Perhaps in the new game he won't go to a mansion at all. Maybe it'll be a resort or something. Who knows? I don't know. Nintendo has the ideas, that's for sure. Then of course, the obligatory new Fire Emblem. There's obviously going to be a Fire Emblem game on Switch 2. That's like the sun coming up tomorrow. If you ask me the last Fire Emblem game, Engage, we played a bit of that, didn't we, Bertie, old chap?
Yes.
Engage, I mean, it was okay. It wasn't that special. Three Houses was the pinnacle of the series so far, if you ask me. I think they've got to do better than Engage on the new console. Engage had a few gimmicks, but it didn't quite live up to that Three Houses pinnacle, as I say. So a Three Houses 2 would really be nice, I think, for the next game in the series, but we'll see where they go with it.
Well, yes, certainly, yes, indeed. And then, of course, we must speak about Surely, a game that seems to find its way into every Nintendo console's game storage container where it is. And that is, of course, another fitness game.
A fitness game, exactly, Bertie. I mean, ever since Wii Fit on the original Wii, it's been mandatory to have some kind of fitness title on Nintendo consoles since then. We had Wii Fit on the Wii, Wii Fit Plus on the Wii U, and of course on the Switch, the rather marvellous Ring Fit Adventure. That game's very good, I recommend it, by the way. So on Switch 2, it's obvious they're going to do some kind of fitness application. I knew I'd be grateful for it because I love those games myself. They're great for staying in shape whilst in the comfort of your home. So I really do expect Nintendo will do something health and lifestyle related with Switch 2. That's a very good point, Bertie. So there you are, fellows, our top 10 picks for the new games coming out that we think are certainly on the table at least for Switch 2, from Mario to Zelda, Smash Brothers and Mario Kart, right up to F-Zero, Princess Peach, you name it. Let us know in the comment section what you think of our choices, and what do you personally expect to see on Switch 2? Do you think we're on the mark here? Do you think we're way off the mark? Let us know, I say.
No, most certainly, yes.
Yes, this has been your host, GameChap and Bertie, bringing you a rather exciting teaser into the world of Switch 2, which I dare say is just round the corner. I'm very, very excited, and we hope you are too. We look forward to seeing you once more in the next exciting outing, I say. Until then...
Bye-bye.